Hi everyone, Noonie here. So I did a video about a week ago about the top 5 things I hate about Thailand. And that was kind of like my first video in what is probably going to be a series of videos of things, videos about Thailand. Like I say, I've been there for 3 trips now since COVID finished, a total of about 10 weeks, maybe a bit more. Which is quite a bit considering that that's only kind of been in the last 17, 16 months, something like that. So I thought I'd just share my experiences, my loves, my hates, what are my top 5, whatever. And this is going to be my top 10 things that I love about Thailand. Now, obviously I quite like the country. I've been there 3 times in quick succession, and to be honest with you, I don't really plan on going anywhere else other than maybe other countries in Southeast Asia for the kind of foreseeable future. It's kind of where my home away from home now. That's how I feel about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in order, so leaving the best till last, of all the things that I love about Thailand, and I'll start off with number 10. So this is my top 10. And number 10 actually is probably one that will feature a lot higher on what most other people's lists. Now, everyone's different, so that's fair enough. But for me, that's probably not the best picture. Here we go, this is definitely the best picture. So for me, number 10 is the beaches. Some of the beaches in Thailand are absolutely incredible. Now, I'm not much of a beach bum, which is why this comes in at number 10, but I couldn't not talk about the beaches of Thailand. And if you are a beach bum and you've never been to Thailand, then you're in for an absolute treat. So, where have I been where there's been good beaches? So, the first really good beaches that I noticed actually were probably in Koh Larn, which is just off the coast of Pattaya. Now, there you go, there's my forest hat. Again, this isn't an amazing beach really. I was walking along here. But yeah, this is the beach. We didn't actually go down to this one, but as you can see, normally this is rammed full of tourists, but this is, I think, Samay Beach or something like that. But yeah, for me, definitely the best beaches are... So when I went in March 2022, I went to Phuket. There are some lovely beaches in Phuket, but the best beaches I've found so far, and again, I've not been to places like Koh Samui, I've not been to Koh Phangan, I've not been to Koh Chang, I've not even been to Koh Samet. There's still a lot of... So that actually the islands is kind of the bit that I haven't really explored too much, but what I have seen... so this was on Riley Beach in Krabi. Now, I was quite fortunate that I went before the rush of mass tourism came, so this was in February 22. There was still some restrictions. I think I came on I know I came on the Phuket sandbox at the time, and I think they kind of did the test and go thing again around about this time, but I booked early and just thought, sod it, go through Phuket sandbox. So it wasn't that many people around. As you can see from this picture, we had this particular beach to ourselves, which was just so picturesque, so amazing. I would definitely recommend, if you are a beach goer, certainly give Krabi a visit. Phuket definitely has some nice beaches. We didn't go to see them all. We mainly stayed in the Patong area. We also went to Kamala Beach, which is an okay beach. It's not particularly wide. It's not particularly that spectacular, but it has some nightlife around it. But I would say Krabi and Riley Beach especially is amazing. I didn't go to Koh Phi Phi, which was a massive mistake, because if I wanted to go back there now, it's just going to be too crowded. So anyway, that's my number 10, and again, it would be a lot higher if I was a massive beach bum, but normally when I go to a beach, I kind of get bored after half an hour, and if I'm not able to go in the sea and just mess about in the sea, then I do get really bored. So that's why beaches came in at such a low position. So my number 9 thing that I love about Thailand, and actually this could have been a lot higher and maybe should be a lot higher, but it isn't. and I want to go to this picture, which isn't the best representation of this, but number 9 is the Nightlife. Now, there's a reason why I've used this picture, and I've used this picture before. One, I couldn't be bothered to go through my phone through some of the old photos, but I also use this picture just because it kind of highlights the diversity of nightlife that you can get in Thailand. So you've got places like Bangkok, which has got everything. You can go to Pattaya and go to the girly bars and the go-go bars, and you know what you're going to get there. If you don't know, just type Pattaya into YouTube. You'll soon find out exactly what that's all about. But yeah, if you want to talk to, Thai ladies of the night, you can go to Pattaya and go to all the bars in there. It's very much catered for Westerners stroke, foreigners in those places. You can go to places like Khao San Road in Bangkok, which is just absolutely mental. I went there twice. Once when it was very heavily restricted with COVID, i.e. it should have shut at 9 p.m. It kind of didn't, but that's by the by. And also I went again in March 2022 when there weren't too many tourists about. Now I imagine now it would be absolutely rammed full of kind of younger Europeans and all that kind of stuff. When I went, it was the first time I went, it was almost all Thais. The second time I went, it was kind of 50-50 between Thais and foreigners. But it's a massive party street, very cheap beer. I say very cheap beer for Bangkok, and then you get the buckets, which you can get for 300 baht. If you have 2 of them, you're going to be half dead. And that's 600 baht, that's like 15 quid to get absolutely destroyed. And have a great time, everyone's dancing in the streets. Then you've got places like this. So this was taken from a Bangkok Thai nightclub. And that's all. It's not like a nightclub in the UK. You're sitting down. It's all table service. Those big Leos, I think they were 145 baht for a big Leo, but you get given your glasses with ice. They pour the ice out for you. And actually in this particular club, if you bought 4, you got 1 free, so that actually made it quite reasonable. So you're looking at 580 baht for 5 bottles. So what does that work out? It works out at less than 3 quid for a big Leo, which in a nightclub in a capital city, you can't really complain. But they also serve food, and what they had like people dancing on a stage, and like I say, I was the only foreigner in this particular club. And it was all aimed at the Thais, and they're all dancing around the table, having fun, occasionally sitting down to eat some snacks like this. So yeah, and then you get everything in between. You'll get quiet bars where you can just sit down, have a chill. Then you've got reggae bars where you can have a bit of cannabis if you want. I didn't particularly do that, but cannabis is everywhere in Thailand now in terms of part of the nightlife scene now, really. There's just so much diversity. If you wanted to go to like a very fancy sky bar in Bangkok, you can. If you wanted to go to like backpacker bars in places like Chiang Mai, you can. Nightlife has just got so much more to offer than what Western nightlife has. Like nightlife round where I live in the UK is either go to a local pub, sit and drink a beer, go to an expensive cocktail bar, sit and drink a cocktail, or go to a nightclub where everyone's way too young and it's way too loud and people are doing cocaine in the toilets. So the nightlife is just so much better. The natural, just everything about the nightlife is better in Thailand. The prices are more reasonable. There's less fighting. Everyone's having a good time. There's more smiles, and that's just a general theme of the country. So that's that's a decent general theme of the country. So something else. So coming on to number 8, and I'll try and find a bit of a funny one for this one. What shall I use for this? I did have an idea. for a picture to use of this one. Here you go. I will probably get like killed by my girlfriend for using this photo, but this is a bit of a tongue-in-cheek photo to use for this one. But my number 8 thing that I love about Thailand is actually how safe it is. Now, not in terms of safety when it comes to things like this. It's very unsafe in that kind of respect, i.e. it's unsafe when it comes to health and safety. But what I mean by safety is I mean crime rate and things like that. Like, the only time I hear of people getting into any kind of bother in Thailand in terms of any violence or anything like that is when they've either been an absolute arsehole and they've caused a lot of trouble and kind of somnomna deserved what they got, or it's fighting amongst foreigners. So like, you know, there's this kind of saying in Pattaya in terms of if there's a fight in a bar, what they normally say is, well, what part of England were they from? That's so true. You don't get any trouble really with Thai people unless you're kind of asking for it. Walking around the streets at night in Thailand feels infinitely safer than what it does in a city in the UK or anywhere in Europe, I found, although the UK does feel more unsafe than kind of anywhere else I've been. I mean, I must admit, you know, there's been one time where I've been walking through the streets of London and I was actually just shitting my pants for like full on anxiety. Just thought, this is horrendous, get me out of here. And I never get those feelings in Thailand. Even walking the streets of Bangkok, and I think I might make a separate video about myths about Thailand, but a lot of people who have never been to Thailand, they just kind of get this, just one second, let me close a few windows because there's going to be some messages popping up. So yeah, what was I saying? So yeah, there's a misconception that it's generally people who've never been to Thailand think that, you know, if you get too drunk in Bangkok, you're going to wake up 3 days later with a scar down your side and all your organs harvested, you know, and you've been raped by a ladyboy and all this kind of crap. And it's just absolute nonsense. Like, Thai people are just incredibly friendly. They'll do anything to help you. I don't think I've ever seen a fight in Thailand, or even people raising their voices in anger. It just doesn't really happen, and if it does happen, you'll probably find it happens in Pattaya amongst foreigners. It's just incredibly safe. The only thing that you need to be a bit street smart about in Thailand in terms of safety is certainly in Bangkok and maybe Pattaya is if you're approached by a ladyboy, just make sure you know exactly where your wallet is. Just say no thank you, or my ao cup, or whatever. That means I don't want, because they're going to try and probably solicit you. But there are a number of incidents where they kind of pickpocket you, or if you kind of get a bit weird with them, if you insult them, then they can kick off. Because you've got to remember, this is a guy who's probably been doing Muay Thai all his teenage years. He's now a lady boy, and if you think it's wise to start ridiculing them because you're not really familiar with them, or you know, or you try and start a problem with them, then they're just going to revert back to type and kick your ass. But if you're respectful in Thailand, you'll never, very, very rare, come across any trouble whatsoever. Same can't be said for the UK. You know, you can be in the wrong place at the wrong time in the UK, and someone who, you know, needs money for something will just, you know, pull out a knife or just start shit or start shouting at you. You don't get any of that in Thailand. Okay, so I kind of was going to leave this one up for the next one, for my number 7, but I'll find something else to kind of showcase this one. Well, I think I'm going to struggle, so I might just completely show something completely different. Yes, I am struggling. Oh, no, I'm not. I'll show this off because it's just bonkers. So my number 7 thing about Thailand that I love about Thailand is just the sheer craziness of it all. Now I'm using this picture because this looks like a bit of a phallic building that was part of what this is part of the Bandam Museum in Chiang Rai, which translates to the Black House. If you are in Chiang Rai, I absolutely recommend going here. It was dirt cheap. It was probably like 80 baht per person to get in, and there's all sorts of stuff here. Actually, I'll show you some other bits and bobs of it. So there's like all sorts cracking off. But what do I mean about craziness? Here we go. There's some loads of other stuff. So I mean, there's a bit of a culture shock when you first get to Thailand, especially because 9 times out of 10, the first time you experience Thailand will be in a taxi in Bangkok, more than likely. You know, unless you're going, you're very likely to be wanting to stay a couple of days in Bangkok, and you absolutely should. Now, I know there are some people who like hate Bangkok and will go, oh no, I don't go to Bangkok, I'll just get a taxi straight to Pattaya, or or I'll get the hell out of there as soon as I can. I would say, if you've never been to Thailand, do not listen to these people. Experience Bangkok for yourself, because it is just an assault on the senses. And I mean, you'll be looking at the taxi in awe of all the absolute madness going off around you, all the motorbikes darting in and out of, where you're trying to get to. All the street food. Some of the street food you'll think is absolutely mental. You'll just see like a whole crocodile on a spit roast. You'll just see all sorts of crazy characters, like I say before, ladyboys. That will blow your mind the first time you see them. And they are kind of everywhere in central Bangkok at night time. Thailand is just an absolute assault on the senses. Things like, if you're not looking where you're walking, the pavement might just stop dead in front of you, or there'll be a post in the middle of a pavement that's about this wide. It's hard to explain, but Thailand is crazy, and I absolutely love it. I love the fact that, it isn't all regulated like it is in the West. I love the fact that, you just get street food everywhere, and there's no way they've got a permit. There's none of that crap. They just, they've got a table, they've got the means to cook. They've probably pulled up on a motorbike with a side cart, and it's all been kind of built up from that. And it's crazy without it being frightening. Like I said before about the safety thing, Thailand is just crazy in all the best ways possible. That's the only way I can explain it, and you kind of do have to experience this for yourself. But it's crazy might not be the best word for it, but it's certainly chaotic. If you're walking down the street in Bangkok near Sukhumvit, anywhere near Sukhumvit, there's always something. There'll be something that your eyes are drawn to, and you'll be like, well, what the hell is that? Then there'll be a noise, because there's loads of like motorbikes, horns going off. All the bars are like competing for music. There's all like loads of people like ringing bells, trying to get your attention, trying to sell food. And then the different smells will be pulling you, some good, some not. There'll be some amazing smells of some food that someone's cooking on the side of the street, and then all of a sudden you'll walk past an open grate and smell all the shit from the sewer. It's just an absolute assault on the senses, and like I say, I wouldn't want to change it for the world. So that is the 7th thing that I love about Thailand, is the absolute craziness of it all. Now, the number 6 thing that I love about Thailand, how do I represent this without kind of doubling up on everything? Here we go. This will do. this kind of represents what I want to talk about. So my number 6 thing that I love about Thailand is the culture. Now, I don't want to necessarily mix that up with the religion or with temples and all that kind of stuff, because, spoiler alert, that's coming later on. But what I do love about Thai culture, and it is maybe linked to religion slightly, but it's more about their way of life. Now, the reason why I've used this picture is because it's a very relaxing vista and there's not a lot going off. It's just a kind of, this was in Mon Jam, Chiang Mai. As you can see, these little dome tents, we had one of these dome tents for 2 nights, and we didn't really do a lot while we were here. Partly because I made a mistake in not taking our own transport here. We did hire a bike for the day, but I think that might have it probably cost like 400 baht or 500 baht just to hire a bike for a day. We kind of got stung a bit because we're kind of a captive audience. But, you know, having said that, it was a great time. But back to the culture. So the Thais are just very easygoing, and that's what I love about their culture. It can be a bit infuriating at times, and if you go back to the things that I hate about Thailand, you know, if you want something done in, you know, a quick time frame, you might struggle because they're so laid back. But you can't help but getting infected by the whole culture of the way the people are, the fact that they're always smiling, they're just very relaxed, you know, they take the day as it comes. There's no pressure, you know, you don't get nagging from Thai people to do things. They're just kind of, you know, they're willing to just let the day pass them by. You know, everything's just, you know, today is today, you know, don't worry about tomorrow. And it is infectious, you know. I've almost changed my complete mindset from, like, you know, oh, you must have a 10-year plan, and oh, you know, but if I haven't done this by this age, then I'm a failure, blah blah blah. And in Thailand, they just don't think like that. It's just like, and you know, it might be down to necessity because you know, they haven't got the luxuries that we have in terms of, you know, disposable income and all that kind of stuff. But they just take every day as it comes. You know, everything's just so laid back and so easy, and it really has kind of resonated with me that, you know, don't worry about tomorrow. And you know, that's what I love about Thailand, you know. Okay, so the number 5 thing that I love about Thailand, and this could have been so much higher, but I decided to leave it at that, is the temples. Now, I'm not a religious person, but I am kind of I'm fascinated with, you know, other cultures and all things like that. You know, I've been to a lot of churches. I've been to the Vatican City. I've been to, you know, a lot of places like that. You know, I've been to a couple of Muslim countries and experienced their cultures. And again, you know, the Buddhist temples and that religion, you know, I do get fascinated by, you know, kind of the customs, the traditions, but the architecture of some of these temples are absolutely out of this world. And I find them a lot more fascinating from kind of an aesthetic point of view than I do kind of churches and mosques. Mosques can be quite plain on the whole, and churches, while, you know, I can't quite like how old and some of them are, and all the stained glass windows and the kind of feeling you get when you step into a special kind of like church or cathedral of that nature. Temples are just another level. You know, this one here, this is the White Temple in Chiang Rai, and I will do a top 5 temples in Thailand. Not gonna lie, this is gonna be either number 2 or number 1. Spoiler alert. But yeah, it's just amazing. This, you know, there's so many temples, and I did actually say to my friend as I landed that I probably feel like I'm a little bit templed out now, because the one thing that I did do, just excuse me 1 second, while I do something to stop these messages coming through. So one thing I did say to my friend when I landed back in the UK is I do feel a little bit templed out. The reason I say that is that probably out of all the activities that you can do in Thailand, whether that's go to the beach, do all the nightlife stuff, visit monuments, all that kind of stuff, markets, blah blah blah, I think the one thing that I've done more than anything is visiting temples. That's almost been, when I've gone to a new city or a new area, the first thing I look at is what are the best temples in that area to visit. Because I am just fascinated by them. And when you get to an amazing temple, it does kind of take your breath away. And there are like 5 or 6 temples in Thailand where I've turned up to them and I'm just like, oh my God, it's a special place, and you do feel something. Not that I'm now a devout Buddhist, having, been to Thailand 3 times. Absolutely not, But the architecture and the feeling you get inside these temples as well, in terms of observing the locals, going through their usual customs of, approaching the Buddha on their knees, and then getting down and doing all this kind of thing, and the peace and tranquility that you feel in those places, because everyone's stonily quiet, apart from when they're shaking those things that go, where what happens with those things is there'll be like 25 sticks, all with a number on, and then one stick will fall out. You take that number to this kind of thing that's got loads of prophecies, are it's not the right word, but that's kind of what they are. It's almost like a bit of a horoscope type thing. It tells you your future kind of thing. But yeah, some of the temples are absolutely amazing. And again, I'm rambling on about it too much, but if you're in Chiang Rai and Chiang Mai especially, those 2 places are just absolutely chock full of temples. I remember we went, so one day in Chiang Mai, in my latest visit. Now, I had already visited quite a lot of the temples in Chiang Mai in my second visit to Thailand, but we returned to Chiang Mai, and there was 2 temples that we hadn't visited before that I saw on the internet that we wanted to have a look at. So we got up in the morning after breakfast and we got a bolt to the first temple, and then the second temple that we wanted to visit was kind of maybe 1 kilometre, not even that, kind of across the road, across the moat, and further down the kind of like, if you don't know Chiang Mai, it's like a square. It's just like the old city is just a square, and these are kind of on the edge. So anyway, walking between Temple 1 and Temple 2, I'm not lying, we come across and went into 4 temples along the way. This was like a 1 kilometre stretch, if that. I reckon it might have been 800 metres, and we found 4 more temples that were worth going into. Now this is where I say I feel like now I'm a bit templed out. I think I've got to a point now where I can walk past a temple and not feel compelled to go into it, just because, even the smaller temples, when you're not kind of used to going to Thailand, are a bit like wow, because there's a lot of gold, there's a lot of Buddha imagery, there's a lot of great art on the walls and all that kind of stuff, just a lot of intricate painting. And I feel like I am kind of desensitized to it now, in terms of like the smaller temples or the not very unique temples. But honestly, some of the unique temples are the best buildings that I've ever seen in my life. Hands down, in fact, are the best buildings I've ever seen in my life. So absolutely go and visit the temples in Thailand. Don't get put off by people who say, oh, they all look the same. You do get to a point where 80% of them all look the same, but there are some standouts that you absolutely must visit if you are in those particular areas, and I will go through those in another video. So the number 4 thing that I love about Thailand, this is going to be quite easy to represent in a picture because I can literally pick any picture really. What picture shall I use? So I'm almost spoilt for choice on this one. I think I'll use one that I've already used already, and that's this one, just because this was such a beautiful day. So number 4 is the climate in Thailand. Now, I will say that I haven't visited Thailand in every month of the year, so I've been quite lucky. So I visited, first time was in November. I went to Pattaya and Bangkok. I must admit the climate then wasn't amazing because it did rain quite heavily for a few days. But then I visited in February and March of last year and this year, and the climate is perfect. Maybe slightly too hot in some places. So the climate so in the UK, what happens is summer, you tend to get, mild days at like 19-20 degrees. You may see the sun, you may not. At night time it gets cold. You'll get probably 2 or 3 weeks where it's absolutely blazing hot, and because no one's got aircon, it's an absolute nightmare because there's no way of escaping it. And then for the rest of the year, it's either cold and wet, or very cold and dry, or just absolutely Baltic. So, and I hate that. I hate it. In Thailand, what happens is, in general, so you need to change this a bit, certainly in the winter months when I've gone, your daytime temperatures are in the high 20s, maybe high 20s to low 30s, and then at night time it drops to like the low 20s, and that for me is perfect. I absolutely love it. This time when I came, we had half an hour of rain in three and a bit weeks. Just unbelievable. So, and that was in Chiang Mai. Now, there are rainy seasons where it rains a hell of a lot and you get flooding in places like Pattaya, Soi Buakhao. But I think that's very localised, the flooding. I've never seen flooding anywhere particularly but that bad. And again, as soon as the sun comes out or as soon as the rain stops, within an hour everything's gone anyway. But yes, if you go in the summer months, especially places like Phuket, it will be very rainy, but it's always hot, it's never cold. I say it's never cold. When I was in Mon Jam in Chiang Mai, it got cold up there, but you're up one of the highest mountains in Thailand, in the north of Thailand, and it got to about 12 degrees at night time, which I actually enjoyed. It's nice to wrap up every now and again, but it never gets bitterly cold in Thailand like it does in the UK or Europe or in the States or anything like that. It's just the climate is always nice. Now, having said that, I do find that Bangkok is just a little bit too hot for me. It's almost because, so in Bangkok, it's a major city, it's a capital city, it's bloody huge. It's kind of in the centre of Thailand and all the heat, so it's pretty hot anyway. It's quite close to the equator. It is nearish the coast, but it isn't a coastal city. So, a few miles out you've got the coast, but you don't get any sea breeze, you don't get any breeze at all in Bangkok. And it kind of gets to the mid-30s in Bangkok every day in the daytime, really. And then because it's a major city, all that heat gets trapped and it never really cools down to anything lower than like 27. 28 in the night time. So I do feel that Bangkok is just a little bit too abrasive for me, and that's in the winter months. So in the summer months, I don't know how I'd feel. You know, I have found that a couple of times in Bangkok where I've just think to myself, I need air conditioning and I need it now. And I have once escaped to a shopping mall. But again, that's another great thing about Thailand in terms of the climate. You know, it's a developing country, and we have got to the point now where even if you're in a village, you can go to a 7-Eleven that's got air conditioning. I know that not all villages have a 7-Eleven, but you know, even the resorts when I was in Isan, I've yet to stop in a room that hasn't got air conditioning, and I've paid stupidly low money for some rooms. Like I paid 400 baht for a room in Isan. I actually paid for a room for 3 hours when I was driving home back to Suvarnabhumi Airport because I was hungover, I was tired. It was going to be a 7-hour journey, and I just couldn't do it all in one go. So we just stopped to the nearest resort, paid 250 baht to stay in this room for 3 hours, where I just got a bit of shut eye. And I mean, it wasn't the greatest room in the world, but it still had air conditioning. So you know, if you're going to live out there, and even live in the sticks, you can just invest in an air conditioner if you've not got access to one already, and then you're fine. You know, I imagine if you're stuck in a village and you've got absolutely no access to an air conditioner and it's the height of summer, you're going to struggle. But don't make that an option. So that's the number 4 thing I love about Thailand. Now, number 3, I must have a good picture for this. I definitely have a good picture for this. Where are you? Where are you? You've got to be around here. This is it. This is the one. So the number 3 thing that I love about Thailand, and this top 3 is like going to be absolutely the top 3. Well, I'd say the top 5 are the top 5. The other 5 below are kind of, you know, just to kind of fill it out to make a top 10 almost. But we are into the very important stuff now, and number 3 is food. Food. Now, the picture that I've got here is a picture. If you're familiar with this dish, you know exactly where I'm going with this, because this dish is fucking amazing. I absolutely love it. This is khao soi. Now, this is kind of the traditional dish of northern Thailand around the Chiang Mai area. It's a noodle soup that's very spicy. It's normally got like a chicken leg in it that's like so tender that you touch it and it just melts to bits. And it's got like, you know, it's got chilies in it, it's got spring onions in it, that kind of thing. You've got like some pickles that you can add in there, and you can see here you've got like some chili paste as well if you want to, you know, spice it up even more, which you definitely do. I love spicy food. But this stuff on here on top, this crispy stuff, these are fried egg noodles. So you've got soft egg noodles in this soup already, and then you've got the fried noodles on top, and you mix it all in, and it's just, oh my god, it's so creamy, it's so spicy. The crunch of those noodles are so good. It's so good. I fucking love it, and I miss it. Now, other dishes that I love in Thailand are things like pad kapow. That's just an absolute staple, especially if you're a foreigner, because there's not too much craziness in there. There might be some fish sauce in there, but it's normally with pork, and it's basically pork, chili, like basil, onions, the Thai holy basil is just so good. It's all fried up with some like rice and I tend to get a fried egg on top. They normally ask you if you want an egg or not. If they don't ask you, ask for one, because the yolk just takes away a bit of that spiciness and adds another layer to it. So good. I've tried to create it at home so many times and I can never quite manage it. I even have some of the fish sauce, but I don't like to use too much of that. But pad kapow's amazing. I don't really eat pad thais because I've got a peanut allergy, so I just stay away from that. And to be honest with you, I never see any. I never see Thai people eat pad thai. I think that's more, and I never see. I don't even think I saw anyone eat a green curry either. So the two things that some people associate Thailand with, like the pad thais, I do see pad thais in Thailand, obviously, but I don't see Thai people eating them. And the green curries, I don't really see Thai people eating that either. You normally see Thai people eating like tom yum, which is like the spicy red soups, or like a red curry or a massaman curry. But yeah, man, yeah, the tom yum guy, or the tom yum kung, oh, it's so good, man. All the food, don't get me wrong, there's some stuff that I've had. So I have tried to eat some of the more weirder stuff. I've not got photos with me actually. Let me just quit that. But I tried chicken foot soup. That is definitely the worst thing I've tried to eat. There's some other stuff that I'm not particularly keen on. But for the most part, a lot of the Thai food is outstanding. And then you can also try some of the weirder stuff as well. Funnily enough, crickets with Leo is absolutely delicious. They like fry it with like not lemongrass. I don't think it might be basil actually. They fry it with a bit of basil and some other like herbs and spices. And those crickets are really nice. They're definitely a perfect beer snack. So yeah, definitely number 3 for things I love about Thailand is the food. So number 2, and I'll use this picture as an example. So this is a picture of a hotel in Chiang Rai, and my number 2 thing that I love about Thailand is the cost of living, or the cost of everything. So again, I'm thinking about doing a Mythbusters thing about Thailand. A lot of people now are going, oh, Thailand's getting so expensive. And when I go there, I just think, what the fuck are you even talking about? So this hotel room, and it's not like the worst hotel room in the world. It wasn't exactly luxury. I think it was like maybe 3-star or something like that. It was called Hotel Montar in Chiang Mai. I would recommend it. The bed looks hard, but it was actually fine. It has a balcony. It's in the thick of the action. It's right next to Loy Crow Road Boxing Arena. So that's where your nightlife is. I always like to stay in the middle of the nightlife areas, just because when you're sober and it's the daytime, it's nice and easy to get around to where you want to, the temples you want to visit, the attractions you want to go to, the activities that you want to do, and all that kind of stuff. It's very easy in the daytime to get around. But when you want to have a drink and when you want to get drunk, it's always best to be able to stumble home from a not very far away, I find. So that's why I always kind of like to live in the nightlife areas, not be too worried about, how am I going to get home from a night out. The last thing you want when you're absolutely blasted is trying to organise a taxi when your battery's low and you can't really see properly. And you might get into an altercation about taxi prices because the taxi man sees that you're drunk and he's like, I'm going to try and get more money out of you. I've just got into a massive rant there. Ultimately, the reason why I've pulled up this picture is because this hotel cost 800 baht a night. That is 20 English pounds a night, and it's got everything you need. It's even had a small gym. It was fully air conditioned. It was clean. Had a balcony. It was lovely. This hotel, you slap this into, and this is in Chiang Mai, so that's in the second biggest city in Thailand. You slap this hotel in somewhere like Manchester or Birmingham with exactly the same amenities, then quite frankly you can 5x that straight away. It's ridiculous. So when people say Thailand's expensive, I don't know what you're talking about. Not only that, things like the cow soy that you can eat. I mean, if you're going into a sit-down restaurant in a kind of more touristy area, you might pay 100 baht for your cow soy. If you get it straight off the street, you're going to be paying 50 baht for your cow soy. 50 baht, that's £1.25. That's unbelievable. You go out for a beer, what are you going to be paying for your beer? You're going to be paying about 70 baht for a small Leo, which is £1.75, or 100 baht for a big Leo. You know, that's outside of Bangkok, but that is kind of what you're paying. And even if you're going to the girly bars, you're going to be paying 100 baht for your small Leo. That's like £2.50 for a bottle of beer. What is that in your home country? Seriously. So, you know, and it's just the cost of everything. So, like, talking to people who live there, and, you know, talking to my girlfriend about, you know, what her family have to pay for things like, you know, even if you've got aircon, your electricity bill is going to be about 1,000 baht a month. 1,000 baht, that's £25 a month. I'm paying 4 times that for electric, and I don't even use electric to heat my house. That's a separate bill. That's another £100 a month. When you spread it across the year, you know, that's 2.5 grand that I'm probably paying to heat and light my house. You know, and 2.5 grand a month, 2.5 grand a year would cover all of your bills except your rent in Thailand. All of them. Easily. So people who live there, they say, you know, they're paying about 1,000 baht a month for their electric bill, you know, if they're using the aircon. You know, if granted, if you've got your aircon at 18 degrees 24/7, then you might be paying 3,000 baht, but you're not going to be doing that because you're going to be going out, eating the cheap ass food, you know. In Thailand, it's almost as cheap to eat out as what it is to eat in. Can you say that about your home country? Can you, hell? It's actually cheaper to eat out in Thailand than what it is to eat in England. Excuse me. You know, unless you're eating microwave meals for £1 from Tesco that have no nutritional value whatsoever, you cannot eat for cheaper than what you can eat in Thailand eating out. So the street food, it's like you can buy stuff for 75p. It's like if you go out eating street food, you can spend £3 and be absolutely stuffed and be like, you know, full to the brimming. You know, I just can't explain how cheap Thailand is more. So, you know, even if like other bills, people were saying like, you know, their water bill is £1 a month. That's just like a flat rate. You know, when you're paying for your internet, you're going to be paying like £10 a month. You know, if you want the absolute dog's bollocks internet, you might be paying 20. You know, there's no such thing as council tax. Winner, like the rent in these places. So like if you're living in Pattaya, you can get quite a nice room for 10,000 baht a month. You know, that's £250. If you're in Bangkok, by the way, Bangkok is a city, like capital city, probably the biggest capital city in Southeast Asia. In fact, probably about it. You can have a very nice room in the centre of Bangkok for like 20,000 baht a month. That's £500 a month. In a city, capital city, living in like excuse me, you know, living in a condo that's got gym access and all this kind of stuff, £500 a month, no council tax, paying like 30-40 quid for your electric, £1 for your water. You know, no such thing as gas bill. Yeah, no such thing as the TV licence. It's just, cost of living, man, is outrageous. It is number 2. It could have easily been number 1, but I'll save. I don't know what picture to use because I don't want to use too many pictures of my girlfriend because it gives people ammunition. But I will do anyway because, you know, if people want to say some bad shit, then fuck you. Because number one thing that I love about Thailand is the people. 100%. This was always going to be number one. Now, what's so great about Thai people? Number one, they actually talk to you. You walk around the UK, everyone's walking around with their head down like they're about to commit suicide, like the world's imploding, because, you know, if you listen to the media, it is. Everyone is just seems so miserable in the UK, and you go to Thailand and you'll walk past a stranger, doesn't matter whether they're male or female, they'll say hello, welcome, or, you know, whatever. It might not be the case so much in Bangkok, because, you know, then you'd be saying hello, welcome every 5 seconds, but people are just so happy in Thailand. They're happy with what they've got. Granted, they might, you know, deep down they might not be. They want more, because people do want more, but they don't show it. They're happy. They're always smiling. They're always happy to see you. They're always just cheerful. They always make you feel good. You know, there's no kind of prejudice really with them. Well, I'll circle that back one, because you do get called farang, and you do get called, you know, fat sometimes, and that is prejudice. But, you know, it's different. It's kind of, when they call you a farang, it's not with bad intentions a lot of the time. It's just, you know, they don't really care about the whole racism card out there. It's just everyone's happy, and they'll talk to you, and they'll treat you well, and, you know, you always get service with a smile. I said that on a previous video. Everyone just smiles at you. Everyone's just very polite, you know, and that's such a foreign thing in the West, because, you know, everyone walks around with their head down in the West, and no one says hello. If someone said hello to you in the West, you'd probably think they're a bit of a weirdo, but in Thailand, that's just the norm. You know, if people speak English as well in Thailand, then sometimes I find people trying to come to talk to you just to practice their English. And that was especially the case the further out I got. You know, we went into my girlfriend's local bar, and you know, it was a bit of a kind of girly bar in a way, but there wasn't, you know, the bars kind of have to be a bit of everything in those places. You know, they have to kind of cater for everyone, and they also therefore have to cater to people who want to meet ladies. But there was one particular lady there who spoke English, and because I was there as an English person, she just like constantly like talking to me, practicing her English on me basically. But, you know, you just wouldn't get that in the UK. And I know that specific example isn't great, but you wouldn't get strangers talking to you in the UK. You just wouldn't, unless they're absolutely shit-faced in a bar. Yeah, the people are just a lot more welcoming. You know, I remember the first time I went into Pooh's house, and her mum brought me spaghetti, and I was just like, you know, would that happen in the UK? You know, she can't speak a word of English, but she's just feeding me. You know, the Thais love to feed you. The Thai people, they just love to bring you food. That is true. Now, whether you ultimately pay for that food or not is a separate issue. But again, you know, the Thai people don't, for the most part, don't have a lot in terms of wealth. So, you know, you are kind of expected to get your wallet out. But it's just a different world, man. And it's not even, like I say, it's not even people who are there to service foreigners who smile at you. It's people in the street. You know, it's not just the waitress, it's not just the girls in the bar, it's not just like your girlfriend and her family. It's everyone you meet is just so happy. And I miss it. That is the number one thing I miss about Thailand, is that, you know, and to wrap all this up, it's the amalgamation of everything that I've just been talking about in this video. It's the fact that you feel happy, you feel safe, everything's so cheap, you know, the climate is amazing, you know, the people are very warm, very friendly. The climate's very warm, very friendly. You know, you're surrounded by all this beautiful architecture in these temples. You know, I just feel at home in Thailand, man, and I can't wait to go back. And I love. There's so much more that I could have put on this list. Obviously, the bonus one, the elephant in the room, which I didn't include in the list, but it's just an obvious one for anyone watching this or anyone watching any kind of Thailand content. The women are beautiful. It's just the truth, you know. You take a 29-year-old average woman from the UK and you take an average 29-year-old woman from Thailand, put them side by side, you know, the average for that particular country, and there's just absolutely no comparison. It's just the way it is. Yeah, man, I can't wait to go back. And there's just so many other things that could have made this list as well. And I can't think of any off the top of my head, but you know, you just walk around the place and you just see things and you just think, why don't we do that in the West? Why do we live this way in the West? You know, why are we running this rat race? Why are we all so stressed? You know, why don't we just all chill out, relax? But you know, it is what it is. Anyway, now I'm rambling. Thanks for watching. I will do a few more videos if you like this one, and I'll see you in the next one.